Welcome back, Fab Fellows. Today, our story follows Sora and Shiro, siblings who are shut-ins and NETs. They are known as blank in the online gaming world, and they think of the real world as just another boring game. But everything changes when they receive a strange email challenging them to a game of chess. As they accept the challenge, Sora and Shiro find themselves transported to Disboard, a mysterious and otherworldly realm. Here, they meet Tet, who is none other than the god of games. The mysterious god, Tet, warmly welcomes Sora and Shiro to Disboard. Here, conflicts of all kinds, whether small arguments or the fate of entire nations, are not resolved through war but through high-stakes games. This unique system operates under a fundamental rule. Both parties must wager something they consider of equal value to the other party's wager. In this peculiar realm, where the essence of humanity is reduced to mere child play, Sora and Shiro, the brilliant game duo, discover a new purpose for playing games. Their goal now is to unite the 16 races of Disboard, challenge Tet, and strive to become the gods of this gaming-centric world where everything revolves around the thrill of competition. But wait, before we delve further into their adventure, why not join in? Pause, give that subscribe button a friendly tap, and let's enter Disboard. The story kicks off with Sora and Shiro gaming non-stop for a solid 5 days. Just as Sora is about to dive into another game, Shiro, completely worn out from countless sleepless nights of non-stop gaming, hands her mouse to Sora and starts to doze off. Soon, the pair receives an email from an unknown sender. The email poses a thought-provoking question, asking if they believe they were born in the wrong world. Sora clicks on the link attached to the email, and a chess game appears. At first, they assume it's a computer-programmed chess match. However, Sora notices throughout the match that the moves being played did not seem to be those of a computer, and deduces that they might actually be playing against another person. Teaming up, the two of them continue the match against this mysterious opponent. After what feels like an eternity, they eventually defeat their challenger and are then sent another email by them, asking about their perspective on their world. Sora and Shiro describe their present life as a crappy game. They are then asked how they would react if there existed a world with clear goals and rules, where everything was determined through simple games. Sora responds with conviction, saying, "If there's a world like that, then we were born in the wrong world." After their reply, all of their screens become distorted and static. They find themselves in an entirely new world. The mysterious sender introduces himself as Tet and extends a warm welcome to his realm, known as Disboard, where he identifies himself as a god. As they descend, Tet enlightens the siblings about the unique rules of this world. Here, everything, from individual fates to national borders, is determined by games. Tet elaborates on the 10 pledges, rules he personally created when he ascended as the one true god. As Tet finishes explaining the 9th pledge, Sora and Shiro nearly crash into the ground but are stopped slightly above it, and as a dazed Sora looks up, Tet explains the 10th pledge and vanishes. Sora and Shiro rise to their feet, wondering where they are as a dragon soars up from underneath the cliff the two are standing on and flies away. Later on, a group of men whom Sora and Shiro have just defeated in a game explains the origin of Disboard to the sibling. One of the men asks if they could at least have some fun, as they had most likely offered up their clothes as well. In response, Sora recites Pledge 6 and walks off with Shiro as the two of them enter Elchia, the capital city of Amanity. There is a gambling tournament to decide the next king, as written in the will of the last king. In the midst of the tournament, Stephanie and Clammy engage in a high-stakes poker game. An unnamed woman explains to Sora and Shiro about the tournament, and informs them that Stephanie is the granddaughter of the last king and how she has entered the tournament in order to become the next king. Curious, Sora inquires if the woman is interested in participating as well. She confidently replies that her current wealth is enough. Sora, ever the provocateur, goads her into a poker match where the woman would wager her money while Sora and Shiro would stake their lives. The two swear by the pledges and begin their game as Sora recounts to the woman about their day. The woman plays a full house, but Sora manages to outdo her with a royal straight flush, securing the victory and claiming her gold. When she asks for their identities, Sora cryptically responds by declaring himself an outsider. As they walk away, Shiro confronts Sora about cheating during the poker game. However, Sora calmly recites Pledge 8 and explains that since they weren't caught, it doesn't really matter. Later, Sora negotiates with the innkeeper and manages to secure a 4-night stay for just 1 gold coin. When the innkeeper asks for their names, Sora cryptically replies that they should keep it blank. As Sora and Shiro walk off, they notice that Clammy is cheating, but are unsure how. Sora leans in and whispers to Stephanie that Clammy was cheating, and the siblings head up to their room. Up in their room, they gather what they still have from their old world. Sora is relieved that they haven't lost everything. He reflects on how in typical stories, when a protagonist is transported to another world, they usually strive to find a way back home. Sora questions the rationale behind this common narrative. Eventually, Stephanie comes up to their room and asks for permission to enter. Sora provokes Stephanie into playing rock, paper, scissors. He tells her that he will only play paper. If Sora wins, he will get one small favor from Stephanie. If Stephanie wins, she will get a hint on how Clammy cheated. Stephanie, feeling confident, attempts to outsmart Sora, but her efforts fall short, resulting in Sora's victory. He then tells her that his favor shall be for her to fall in love with him. Sora then asks Shiro if it was a good move or what, making it so she will have to let him come to the palace and get all of her stuff. However, Shiro bluntly points out that he could have just asked her to hand over all her stuff directly. Sora is left dumbfounded by the realization that his subconscious desire to avoid being a virgin had clouded his thinking. Stephanie, determined not to succumb to falling in love with Sora, resorts to banging her head against the wall in frustration. Shiro, on the other hand, starts teasing Sora and playfully pushes him into Stephanie, leading to an accidental contact that leaves Stephanie momentarily overjoyed due to the effects of the pledges they made. However, she eventually snaps out of it and angrily kicks Sora out of the room. As Sora stands outside the door, he experiences a mental breakdown, expressing his aversion to touching another girl. Meanwhile, Shiro is going through a similar breakdown, expressing her fear of Sora leaving her. When Stephanie opens the door wider and Sora and Shiro catch sight of each other, they immediately get up and hug, seeking comfort in each other's presence. Observing this strange turn of events, Stephanie can only conclude that they are both quite eccentric. Later, while Shiro and Stephanie are in the bath, Sora explains why they had Mr. Steve around, and tries to get Stephanie to show him her royal mangoes by having her pick up something. However, Shiro ended up grabbing it and humorously showed her elbow pit, imitating the look of cleavage. After Sora and Shiro receive some fresh clothes, Stephanie, still wrapped in a bedsheet, offers to make them some tea. When she goes out to make some, she starts thinking about her and Sora getting married due to the effects of the pledges, much to the fear of some maids. Returning to the room with cookies and tea, Stephanie reminds herself not to fall for Sora's otherworldly charms. As she enters the room, Stephanie notices Sora and Shiro sitting on the balcony. They engage in a conversation about humanity, discussing how their race is ranked as the lowest due to their limited affinity for magic. Sora and Shiro recall the incident with the girl using magic in the bar, which piques their curiosity. Inspired by this, they decide to head to the library. At the library, Shiro quickly adapts to the humanity language, and then encourages Sora to do the same. Stephanie reflects on the remarkable problem-solving skills of Sora and the brilliant intellect of Shiro, recognizing they have the perfect teamwork. She ponders the possibility that these two might be the key to saving Elkia. In a moment of curiosity, Sora inquires about Stephanie's motivations for aspiring to become king. Stephanie shares her desire to prove that her grandfather, Makoto, the former king of Elkia, wasn't a fool. As they exit the library into the hallway, they unexpectedly encounter Clammy, and when she saw Stephanie's rags, she gave back the clothes she had won in their previous game. However, when Stephanie reaches for them, Clammy drops the clothes and starts hurling insults. Stephanie becomes emotional, and Sora steps in, reminding her not to prove Clammy right. He returns the clothes to Clammy, acknowledging her victory but warning that it won't last. Clammy, in response, observes that Stephanie has indeed found some fools. As Sora converses with Shiro, Shiro observes that Sora seems to be genuinely enjoying their new adventure in Disboard. Sora concurs, expressing his belief that this experience surpasses their life in the old world. Sora reaffirms his commitment to Stephanie, stating that they will work together to prove to everyone that her grandfather was not a fool. And as they continue down the hallway, he takes a moment to make a note on his phone, setting his sights on the lofty goal of becoming king. Later, Sora, Shiro, and Stephanie crash Clammy's crowning ceremony, revealing a startling secret. They disclose that Clammy had been winning games through the use of magic borrowed from Fiel Nervalen, an elf and a member of the 7th-ranked race known for their pointy ears, residing in the vast land of Elvengard. Though Clammy manages to salvage the situation, she is compelled to challenge Sora and Shiro to a game. Clammy informs Sora, Shiro, and Stephanie that she plans to cut ties with the elves after she wins the game. Despite Clammy's intentions, Sora and Shiro refuse to back down. The challenge is set, and Clammy proposes a game of live chess. The game begins, initially appearing as a game of chess, but with a twist. The pieces are meant to think and act independently. Clammy's pieces obediently follow her every command, while Shiro struggles getting the pieces to follow her requests and ends up losing her knight. Sora takes the reins, transforming the game into a strategic battle. He employs unconventional tactics, motivating the troops with promises of various hanky-panky incentives. Clammy, seeing her forces sway, resorts to desperate measures. She begins brainwashing Sora's troops in an attempt to turn the tide in her favor. However, Sora, ever the cunning strategist, decides to target her queen. Sora persuades Clammy's queen to join his side by declaring her king to be corrupt, and manages to sway Clammy's queen to his side, securing a critical advantage in the game. Clammy finds herself caught off guard as her chess pieces start defecting to her former queen, and her king is eventually overthrown due to her oppressive rule. Sora and Shiro emerge victorious in the game, and Sora seizes the moment to denounce Clammy. He admonishes her for her plan to assimilate humanity with the elves, reminding her not to underestimate the strength and potential of their race. 3 days later, Sora and Shiro are crowned as the representative king and queen of humanity, embarking on their mission to address the political and economic challenges facing Elkia. Their coronation is marked by a compelling speech, and they are honored with the King Race Piece of Humanity, a chess piece symbolizing the nation's rights and free will. Under the cover of night, Sora and Shiro receive new information about the flügel, the 6th-ranked angelic race known as the Exceed, residing on the floating nation of Avenheim. Their curiosity leads them to an encounter with Tet, who explains that whoever gathers all 16 chess pieces from each species will earn the right to challenge him for his title of God. Sora and Shiro, never ones to back down from a challenge, accept Tet's proposition with unwavering determination. They declare that they will emerge as the ultimate winners in this high-stakes quest for supremacy in the world of Disboard. Stephanie's frustration with Sora and Shiro's habit of delegating their responsibilities to her reaches its peak. In a bid to change things, she challenges Sora to a game. With an intriguing wager, if she wins, Sora must become a decent person. The chosen game is blackjack. And despite Stephanie's attempt to implement false shuffling, Sora emerges victorious thanks to his card-counting skills. As a consequence, Sora uses his wager to dress Stephanie in a dog costume, not realizing that she bears a striking resemblance to one of the werebeasts. The werebeasts, ranked 14th among the Exceed, are known for their animal-eared features, superior senses, physical abilities, and a mysterious sixth sense. Stephanie, in her new costume, challenges Sora and Shiro to various prediction games, each time losing her dignity. Sora and Shiro make it clear that they weren't fooling around with their duties, and they point out the scarcity of information about the werebeasts. Realizing their point, Stephanie redirects their focus to the main library in Elkia, which is owned by Jibril, the youngest and strongest flügel. Sora and Shiro boldly challenge Jibril to a high-stakes game, vying for ownership of the main library. They wager their tablet computer, which contains a treasure trove of valuable ebooks. During the game, Sora, in a daring move, touches Jibril's sensitive wings, which leaves her in a state of vulnerability. Jibril offers her freedom as a bargaining chip, but the game proceeds. The game they engage in is a materialization word chain, where their spoken words have the power to materialize or vanish from the environment. They start with a risky word choice, atomic bomb. As the game unfolds, Sora strategically uses his words to convey a powerful message to Jibril. He emphasizes that humanity is not as weak as she perceives. With clever moves, they gradually dismantle the planet, removing its outer core, lithosphere, and oxygen gas. This audacious act ultimately leads to the induction of a hypernova by nullifying Coulomb's law. Jibril, astounded by their cunning gameplay, realizes that Sora and Shiro orchestrated the entire match from the beginning. She concedes defeat, solemnly swearing her loyalty to the siblings. Sora and Shiro graciously accept her allegiance and allow Jibril to remain in the main library, solidifying their bond and influence in the world of Disboard. Jibril astutely observes that Stephanie was only ordered to fall in love with Sora, without any stipulation to remain in love with him. Meanwhile, Clammy and Field discuss the improving quality of life in Elkia. Jibril takes it upon herself to educate Sora, Shiro, and Stephanie about the history of the werebeasts. She reveals that the werebeasts have maintained an undefeated streak for half a century, erasing the memories of opponents who suffered defeat in their games. This knowledge sparks Sora's denouncement of Makoto's motives as a king, bringing tears to Stephanie's eyes. Later in the night, Sora examines Shiro's pure belief in Makoto's intentions, seeing her as a genuinely good-hearted human being. Stephanie, who had been entrusted by Makoto, provides Sora with a special key that unlocks a hidden library within Makoto's royal chambers. Together, Sora, Shiro, Stephanie, and Jibril explore the library and discover a startling revelation. Makoto had not allowed his memories to be erased. Instead, he had diligently recorded information about the werebeasts, intending for it to be passed down to the next ruler. Sora, Shiro, Stephanie, and Jibril pay a visit to the embassy of the Eastern Union, where they encounter Ino Hatsus, the assistant ambassador of the werebeasts. Inside the embassy, they are introduced to Izuna, Ino's granddaughter and the ambassador of the werebeasts. In a bold move, Sora and Shiro propose a high-stakes game between Elkia and the Eastern Union, with the entire continent's land at stake. This challenge hinges on the revelation that the elves lost 4 games to the werebeasts, suggesting that the werebeasts created a video game allowing them to cheat, thus debunking their supposed ability to read minds. To ensure the werebeast's acceptance of the challenge, Sora and Shiro threaten to expose this information to the elves. They wager Humanity's king race peace and Elkia's territory in this audacious gamble. 1 week later, Sora departs to accept a challenge on his own, leaving the others behind. 2 days later, Shiro makes a startling discovery that Stephanie has no recollection of Sora, raising questions and concerns about the situation at hand. Stephanie begins to suspect that Shiro's memories may have been tampered with, prompting Jibril to challenge Shiro to a game of chess. The aim is to remove any supposed false memories of Sora. However, Shiro chooses to hold onto these memories and emerges victorious in the chess game, affirming that Sora is indeed real. Shiro further realizes that both Stephanie and Jibril cannot recall what happened the day after Sora disappeared. Through careful investigation, she recollects that Sora had challenged Clammy to a game of Othello, in which the discs collectively represent their existence. The wager involved manipulating the memories of their respective partners, Shiro and Feel. With Jibril's magical detection, they find traces of magic in the royal chambers. Stephanie stumbles upon 2 sets of 3 discs on the floor. Utilizing Sora's 3 discs, Shiro strategically places them on an invisible, uncheckered board, winning the game of Othello. This victory restores Sora's existence. Empowered by this success, Sora shares his memories with Clammy, forging an alliance and gaining the right to alter Feel's memories as he sees fit. Clammy and Feel formally introduce themselves to Sora, Shiro, Stephanie, and Jibril. However, tensions arise as Jibril and Feel have a contentious history, stemming from Jibril's accidental slaughter of many elves in Elvengard during the Great War 6,000 years ago. It is revealed that Clammy's ancestors were slaves to Feel's ancestors for generations, but Clammy and Feel now treat each other as equals, transcending their historical differences. Sora attempts to foster camaraderie among their newfound allies, suggesting that public bathing is an excellent way to bond. However, the focus quickly shifts to strategy when Sora and Clammy meet in the hidden library at night. They agree that they cannot rely on chance and must avoid making any missteps in their upcoming challenges. The following day, Sora, Shiro, Stephanie, and Jibril return to the embassy. In the arena, Ino informs a keen public audience that the wager for the upcoming game will be Humanity's king race peace and Elkia's territory against the Eastern Union's entire land. Clammy and Feel closely monitor any signs of cheating. As the game commences, Sora, Shiro, Stephanie, Jibril, and their opponent Izuna are transported to a virtual reality field that resembles Tokyo. Sora and Shiro, who suffer from agoraphobia, enter a state of discomfort due to the vast open space surrounding them. Sora and Shiro shake off their initial disorientation upon Ino's reminder that they are in a virtual reality field. Ino goes on to explain the rules of the challenge, which involves a game of cops and robbers using lovey-dovey guns that shoot heart-shaped bullets at non-player characters resembling animal girls. Stephanie remains uncertain about the game's rules. Sora, Shiro, and Jibril engage in a heated battle against Izuna, who skillfully evades their relentless attacks. However, their situation takes a turn when they hide under a corridor, only to discover that Ino had secretly relayed their location to Izuna. Regrouping in a park, Shiro takes charge of making adjustments to their plan of action. Unbeknownst to Izuna, they execute a clever ploy that leads her to believe Shiro has switched sides. However, Shiro throws her shirt button in the path of the bullet, revealing the deception. As a result, Izuna finds herself in a dire predicament, cornered by Sora and Shiro. To turn the tide, she employs a formidable ability called Blood Break, augmenting her physical capabilities, and gets an easy victory against Sora and Shiro. However, she got too confident, and that's when Stephanie piggybanks with a non-player character to defeat her. Sora had earlier bound Stephanie to the 10 Covenants to conceal her intent, while Shiro carefully calculated the non-player character's movements to hide Stephanie's location. As Ino announces Elkia's triumph over the Eastern Union, Izuna expresses lament over the fate of the werebeast. However, Sora and Shiro reassure Izuna of their goodwill and intentions. Later on, the Shrine Maiden, the nameless representative of the Eastern Union, challenges Sora to a game of heads or tails within her shrine. Sora tosses the coin into the air, and the coin lands on its edge, creating an unexpected outcome. Sora manages to convince the Shrine Maiden to declare both of them winners, allowing Elkia to share resources with the Eastern Union while granting the Shrine Maiden the ability to self-rule the werebeast. Sora and Shiro believe that the power of the 10 Covenants will enable them to unite all 16 races in preparation for their ultimate challenge against Tet, the one true god. In the aftermath of this complex game, Sora and Shiro make an audacious request to the Shrine Maiden. They ask her to channel an old days, the first-ranked godly race of the Exceed, for their next game, setting the stage for more thrilling and challenging adventures. Thank you, Fab Fellows. This was from today's video. Stay in the loop to find out what unfolds next. Hit subscribe and give a thumbs up to stay connected.